Hi everybody and welcome to Words on Wednesday. Today in this period of Lent, I want us to think about waiting, but also wilderness. We're in a time of waiting. We're waiting for summer. We're waiting to be able to fling our doors open, to embrace people again. Lent is a time of waiting. It's a wilderness time as well. So I'd like to share some words with you and some questions, and maybe you can ponder some of these things. God waits. God waits for us, not like a lion ready to pounce when we let our guard down, not like an interfering in-law, but like an old friend who's seen it all before and loves us anyway. That old friend who we can spend time with without having to pretend or to explain. As Sarah waited 90 years for a son to fulfill God's promise, we wait in hope for what we thought had been promised to us. And we think for a moment about the prayers that we've said over the years, the things that we've been waiting for, maybe the things that we're still waiting for in our lives. And we wait patiently. We wait in hope for God to be God in our lives. As Moses waited 40 years in the desert, being prepared by God to lead his people, we wait for the things that we need to help teach, to help listen, to help lead others. We wait for the Lord to work his power within our lives, to renew us, to refresh us and revive us. As Israel waited 40 years in the desert, hungry and depressed and thirsty and unsure, we wait for things to move on. Generations to pass. And we think of the generations that have gone before us. And we wait for the generations to come after us. As the prophets waited 1,000 years of promises that God would raise up a saviour, we wait for things to change. What do we see that we know needs to change? As Mary waited 9 months for the child of God, what are we waiting to be birthed in our lives, in our churches, in our communities, in our world? As John the Baptist waited, scanning the crowds for the one whose sandals he would not be worthy to untie, we long for an experience of the divine. When was the last time we felt that divine sense, the presence of God with us in a tangible way? When was the last time we took the time to wait on God? As Jesus waited 30 years of creeping time, 40 days in the desert of temptation, 3 years in the midst of misunderstanding, 3 days in the depth of hell. So we wait for God's time, preparing the way. Our turn to toil on levelling mountains and straightening paths. Our turn to watch the time horizon. Our turn to pass on the hope. The one who promised is faithful, and he will come back. What is it that you're waiting for? So the first word of today is waiting. The second word, wilderness. Sometimes we find ourselves in wilderness times, don't we? Where we look around and we feel alone. We feel like we're not sure where we're going or even where we've come from. Matthew 3 verse 17 says this, "And a voice from heaven said, 'This is my son, the beloved, with whom I am well pleased.'" Share these words with you. If you would enter into the wilderness, do not begin without a blessing. Do not leave without hearing who you are, beloved, named by the one who has travelled this path before you. Do not go without letting it echo in your ears. And if you find it's hard to let it into your heart, do not despair. This is what this journey is for. I cannot promise this blessing will free you from danger, from fear, from hunger or thirst, from the scorching of the sun or the fall of the night. But I can tell you that on this path, there will be help. I can tell you that on this way, there will be rest. I can tell you that you will know the strange graces that come to our aid only on a road such as this, that fly to meet us, bearing comfort and strength, that come alongside us for no other cause than to lean themselves towards our ear. With their curious insistence, those graces whisper our name, beloved, beloved, beloved. Wherever we find ourselves, in the waiting, in the wilderness, the Lord calls our name and we are beloved. He is with us and we're never alone. So God bless everybody. Take care and we'll speak soon.